podcast.
All right, welcome back to the Outdoor Drive podcast. This is episode number 166. This is your boy, the Mad Man Martic, taking over the studio. So let's get into this real quick before anyone realizes what's going on. I want to thank the sponsors, huntworthgear.com. Get more for less with Huntworth. Guys, if you're on the fence about getting new camo, check out Huntworth. It's definitely worth it. They're running a promo code right now. It's HNT20CT. Podcast land right now. It's the 3rd of November. The promo code expires on the 6th, which is this Sunday. So make sure you take advantage of that. We got Mark Buzzle over at Nor'easter Game Calls. Get your grunt calls. It's November. It's the time. You don't want to be in the woods without a grunt call right now. Throw that can away. Get that slider and get everything in one package there. People we believe in, Zeus Broadheads. You got the Hera, the Aries, the Zeus. You also got Steady Form and B16 over at neweraarchery.com. And last but not least, we've got Mr. Matt Katoya at Battleground Outdoors. All your Amstel needs, your aiders, your daisy chains, your PSH, everything. So make sure you check them out. And let's get right to the news because we're not messing around tonight.
All right, guys, why don't we buckle up and see what's going on in the world of news with Mr. Mike Salter.
Hey everyone, we're going to kick this one off in Alaska, where Senator Lisa Murkowski announced the elimination of the expiration date from Form 4457 after extensive negotiations with the Senate delegation and sportsmen and women. Form 4457 is required for U.S. citizens to travel abroad with their firearms, and before this change, the form's deadline and the agency's inability to update forms in a timely manner was resulting in procedural hurdles and hunters having to cancel trips that they had already invested significant time and money on planning. So a big win for hunters traveling to hunt from now on. Now to Utah, where the DWR is celebrating the 1,000th completion of the Utah Cutthroat Slam. The slam was launched by Utah's DWR and Trout Unlimited in April of 2016. The challenge requires participants to catch Utah's 4 native cutthroat trout subspecies in their native ranges. There is a $20 registration fee to participate, which goes directly toward conservation projects. Since the program began, over $78,000 has been raised for cutthroat trout restoration. 22 conservation projects have been completed using the proceeds from the registration fees. 100 anglers have completed the slam more than once, and 16 is the most times an angler has completed the slam. And residents from 48 states have registered for the slam to date. So a great milestone for the program, and hopefully more participants will result in more projects being completed in Utah. Now to Virginia, where the inaugural elk season this fall generated more than $600,000 for wildlife and management projects within the state's elk management zones. All 6 tags in the state were provided by lottery or raffle, and more than 31,000 people entered the DWR's lottery, and both the lottery and raffle drew applicants from all 50 states. So big success there, and hopefully that continues. Now to Illinois, and specifically Chicago, where this year has seen the first legally harvested deer within the city limits since 1865, when the last legally harvested deer was taken by First Ward Alderman William Cox. The Illinois DNR opened the first deer hunting season at William Powers this year, and 8 out of the 37 applicants were awarded a 14-day hunting period during archery season from October 1st to the 14th. At 7 a.m. on October 1st, Jose Guzman took a doe with his crossbow, marking the first deer legally taken by a hunter in Chicago in over 150 years. So congratulations to Jose, who has only been hunting for 5 years, and hopefully we'll see an expansion of hunting opportunities in those city limits. Now to Ohio, where the Ohio Wildlife Council voted to approve a proposal to allow a maximum of 3 fishing lines statewide. This new rule will take effect on January 1st, 2023. Additionally, the council voted to remove site-specific catfish regulations from Hoover Reservoir to align with statewide restrictions. Starting January 1st, 2023, catfish anglers can harvest 1 blue cat 35 inches and larger and 1 channel cat 28 inches and larger, and there will be no restrictions on shorter fish. The council also approved the expiration of shooting range permits as 1 year from the issuance rather than the last day of February. Now to Montana, where the Master Hunter program is accepting applications through November 30th. Classes will be held in Billings in March, Bozeman in April, and Missoula in May. Each class will be 2 3-day consecutive weekends, and a 2-day weekend rendezvous in June is also required for qualifications, field exercises, and the final exam. The Master Hunter program is an advanced education program for hunters who want to improve and hone their skills, build relationships with landowners to aid their wildlife management goals, and to be advocates for conservation of wildlife. The program covers wildlife management, history of conservation, hunting culture and ethics, private land stewardship, shooting accuracy and precision, and other topics. And for more information on the program, application process, and class dates and eligibility requirements, you can go to www.mtmasterhunter.com. Lastly, to Kansas, and a big item on next week's ballot. On Election Day, the ballots will include Constitutional Amendment HCR 5014. Approval of this amendment would give the Kansas legislature direct authority over management of fish and wildlife as opposed to the Kansas DWP. Supporters of this bill argue that the amendment creates a checks and balances. However, the Wildlife Commission already provides those checks and balances. All are being urged to vote no on November 8th to keep fish and wildlife management decisions within DWP. So get out there and knock that down. As always, if you have anything to send to me, please send it along. You can reach out to me at Mike Salter on Facebook or Beard_Bowhunter21 on Instagram. And with that, enjoy the rest of your ride.
Martic, why is everything recording? What is going on down here? What are you trying to do down here?
Trev, you've been busy lately. You've been grinding. I figured I'd just, help you out a little bit.
This is ridiculous. Where did you leave off?
I don't know.
What did you do? What have you done since I've been gone?
I didn't really do anything, but hey, Salter, thanks for the news, by the way.
Oh,
appreciate that.
Oh, so that's where we left off, was on
I
Salter
took care of everything else. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sponsors
so we're good.
Taking, yeah. We're good.
So in the meantime, like what did you do? Just sponsors and like, did you tell them what episode that we're on?
About as good as I could. I 160.
What is this, practice for you? You think this is a joke?
A little bit, kind of.
All right. Well, where did we leave off? Did you at least do your killer's corner yet?
I didn't do the killer's corner.
Well, you better get to that then. No, I'm not helping you. You decided that you want to take over everything, so why don't you go ahead and take care of it?
All right. I don't even know what to do now. Killer's corner. We got a big shout out to our buddy Will Jimeno. Shot a hammer of a buck in Maryland. Gene Gunther. You got me all worked up. I can't even do last names.
It's Gene Gunther, bud. It's just chill.
Him and his son went out for a nice pheasant hunt, which was awesome to see. Pictures of his son holding the pheasants. Darren, sir, how come everybody on the Killer's Corner, you're always close by? You ever notice that?
What do you mean?
Well, Darren shot that buck.
Yeah, Darren Sifredo.
Yeah, and all the Killer's Corners, you're always lurking in the shadows. You had Guys Sicka, you were there for that. You had what's his name, Scott Files Bear.
Yeah.
So Darren Sifredo shot up. It's albino, right?
It's a once in a lifetime deer. It's definitely a piebald. I think it's not more on the dwarf side too. It's a cool thing. You guys can jump onto our group page and kind of check that out. But it's dwarfed, and it has like that. Excuse me. It has like a I just burped in the mic. Damn it. It has like the Roman nose. Yeah. The like serious Roman nose, real short legs, real cool deer. He shot that over in Ohio when we were up there doing our.
Then he just came home from Ohio and
shot another
tonight in Connecticut right before we hit the record button. So congratulations to Darren.
Shot a real nice buck.
Another big shout out to, we've talked about him before, Landon Boyles.
I'll tell you what, man, that kid has talk about a killer.
8 years old. He shot his third deer. At 8 years old. He shot a bear this season already. He's been on 2 moose hunts. His grandfather just shot a moose cow up in Ashland, Maine. He was on a recovery with his father on a nice bull moose a couple weeks ago, first week of the season. So, dude, talk about a killer. That's definitely one to be watching out for in the future. That's a problem child.
Yes, definitely a problem child.
And
yes.
Last and certainly not least, our good friend Samantha Troutman shot her first archery deer, which is actually a buck.
Congratulations.
I believe that's Sam's second deer in her life, but her first.
Is it really her second? I thought it was.
I think she only shot one. Last year was her first deer.
Okay.
And then this was her first buck and her first archery deer.
Wow, that's awesome.
So that's awesome. She's and she's got her own little bow hunting league team, all women going over there.
That's
so
awesome.
Big shout out to them. So keep them coming in, guys. Keep
and then not to cut you off, but the usuals. You got Devin.
Oh,
he's killing the ducks.
Yeah, Devin's always hammering something.
Mark, he's on it, killing his pheasants as always. There's a lot of them. So make sure you guys get on over, post on our page on The Outdoor Drive. We want to see what's going on. Big bucks, does, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're killing, catching fish. It doesn't really matter, man. We want to get you part of the Killer's Corner.
One other thing, I want to remind you guys, Facebook name's Heather MK. She's a big supporter of the podcast.
Huge.
She's in I don't even know what it is. It's a big competition. You got to vote for her to basically win a hunt of a lifetime. We'll put it in the show notes, but it's biggamehero.com. You can vote once a day. So if you can remember and you think about it, I try to remember every day I try to vote for. So I know there's a post on the group page. You can find it. It's not that
I'll put it in the show notes so that you guys can click
if you can help her out and try to get those votes in daily, and let's see if we can get her to win a big hunt and have her on the podcast when she gets back.
That sounds like a great idea, man. Well, are you going to keep going, or you want me to?
No, I don't even like.
No, you're
this.
over this.
No,
it's not that fun.
It sounds really fun when you, as a listener.
Yeah.
And then when you try to do it, you're like, screw this. I don't know
not that
why
good.
anybody would ever want to.
So you thank the sponsors though? While I wasn't here, at least.
I mean,
at minimum.
I stole your notebook.
So I see that.
Whatever you had in your notes, I just kind of I added some stuff to it though.
Did you? That's what afraids me. Afraids me. Of course.
You want to put the notebook back?
No, I don't want that thing. I don't even know like what is this podcast even about? What are we supposed to do? Like, it's kind of weird.
It is weird. This is the second one of the month with you're the guest now.
I guess I am. I guess that's
why I took over the studio. I'm the host now.
Oh, you're the host.
You're the guest.
Yeah.
Because you got a story to tell.
Is this what the determination is, that you made this by yourself as a
Well, I tried to lock the door to the studio, not thinking that you had a key because it's your own studio.
Right.
But, I was just gonna run with it as long as until you caught me.
All right. Well, if that's what you want to do, buddy, it is what it is.
Man? Welcome back.
Oh, well, thanks. Hey, I appreciate you guys having me on again. I really do appreciate it.
So, hey, listen, before we get too carried away, why don't you tell everybody who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Well, my name is Trevor Berwick. I'm actually the host of the Outdoor Drive podcast. I was, and I guess that ended up getting taken over. Just a small town guy, just kind of doing my thing.
To be honest with you, so in podcast land, it's the 3rd of November, but in real life, happy Halloween. It's Halloween night.
Yeah, it's Halloween night.
So I decided for Halloween, I want to be a podcast host.
Well,
which is really scary.
Yeah. Well, I guess we'll have a poll or a vote if we should allow Martic to stay in the hosting seat. What do you guys say about that?
I hope they say no.
Right. Jeez Louise, man. This is out of control.
Oh shit.
No, I'll tell you, Halloween, it's probably the first Halloween that I haven't hunted in a long time, and actually being home in Connecticut for the first time in quite some time, dude. I'm honestly, I haven't been home in forever on Halloween. I'm normally traveling or out hunting somewhere for probably the past 5-6 years. So it's like today, I had asked Michelle, I said, well, when are you getting out of work? Like, what's up? She's like, you're never home on Halloween. Why are you worried today?
Right.
And I was like, well, I'm home. Like, what do we do on Halloween? And normally we go and see my niece and nephew and whatever. And then, so I did that, and then we were going to podcast. So I was like, this is weird. I didn't hunt on Halloween for the first time ever. Had to kind of get caught up on things, punched my tag and came home. So it was nice.
It was just like that. You just went punch and tag and just came home. Like,
no, I wish
easy lemon squeezy.
I wish it was like that, man. I really wish it is. And before we carry on with this and kind of get a little bit more serious, is I definitely want to break down the point of how these public land hunts are not easy. Like it's not an easy thing. Like it's a struggle. It's a 100% struggle when it comes to the variables of everything that you put into it, as far as not knowing the lay of the land a lot of the times, other than e-scouting. So you've never really stepped on foot. Like these properties that I have hunted this year are a little bit different than normal. I've hunted in the area, but not these parcels itself. But going out there and having 5 days to pull it together. And I had talked to our good buddy Sean Russell about it and being a guide. It's hard being on private land and shooting a good buck as a guiding somebody and shooting a nice buck in the 5 days, never mind being on public and shooting it.
Right.
And then to deal with the other hunters, there's constant other hunters, not as bad as it would be this coming up week. Cause normally the first week of November, it gets crazy in Ohio or anywhere that you're actually hunting because it's the start of the rut. Right. But it's the trials and tribulations that you go through when you're doing it. It's a struggle. It's tough. I didn't shoot one last year. I passed a ton of deer. I wanted something a little bit bigger, but I went out there with the attitude, as I always do, is I want to kill a 125 or bigger every single time that I go. Like that's my goal, right?
Yeah.
Is to shoot a 125. But if something gets me going, dude, it's done. It's over.
I think when people think you're going to a destination state like Ohio, they automatically assume it's nothing but giants. And there's more deer out there of bigger caliber.
Correct.
There's more 120s than there are here in Connecticut. But
Absolutely.
you don't just show up and just they're everywhere. You don't see a buck on every hunt. You don't. And the best way I can describe it is it's public land. So if you hunt public land in your home state, that's your home turf. You know the lay of the land. You get to scout it all year round, but you're still competing with other hunters. The difference is on your home turf, you kind of recognize trucks. Oh, there's that guy in that white Chevy. He's always here. Oh, that guy, he only hunts on Saturdays. Like you kind of get a feel for it. Well, when you roll into another town, you have no idea who's showing up. You don't know that you got locals that hunt that property all the time. You got guys from all over the country that are there doing the exact same thing as you.
Right.
And you don't know what to expect.
You don't know what to expect
given day.
And throughout the stories, you kind of understand is kind of some of the things that you kind of deal with. I mean, as far as like the people being at those parking spaces, you don't know. Like a lot of the times, like I like to set up the night before on a property, leave my shit, and then go in there the next morning and hunt it all day. Or, because now I've seen it at night, hunt somewhere I know for the morning because I can get in there and get in a tree and do what I need to do. And then in the afternoon, kind of scout my way in, hunt it, and kind of do what I need to do. And that's kind of what I did, right? And in a lot of the aspects of checking some of these properties. And, I worked with my network of friends throughout this whole entire thing, right? It wasn't just, I didn't do this on my own. This was not by any means, this was a team effort, in my opinion, where my buddy Sean, Dylan, and then constantly talking back and forth with you, Steve, like, hey man, this is my game plan. This is my play. This is what I'm thinking of doing. What do you think? This is the wind. This is, these are these contour lines. What do you think? Should we check benches? Should we do in the bottoms? Like you work with that network of team of good hunters. And we talk about it all the time and how, you want to play with the people that are on the same play field as you. Right. And that's how you're going to work to your advantage to be able to grow to that next level and be able to successfully kill something. And so I do that a lot. I do that a ton. I always play up to all my friends that are in my, in my circle. And it's what's made me successful every single time in an out-of-state hunt, because not only that, but I get to bring my friends into that out-of-state hunt with me while they're away. You know what I'm saying? I'm just there to pull the trigger, but we're doing the work together, and it's a blast. It's an absolute blast. And then to be there with my good buddy, Steve, I have too many friends, Steve, right? I guess. But it's a fun. My buddy Steve Slazwick, he killed a really nice one last year in this piece. We had put him up or pointed him in the direction of where I had hunted the year prior, 2020. And I hunted up there with Keith Sharrock, and I had shot and missed actually one on Halloween 2 years ago. Up in there, it's probably a 130s buck and real good buck. And I had missed in there. And then the next year I went in there and hunted, and I brought Steve up in there and he hunted, and I went back to, hunting back where I had hunted and ended up shooting my big buck a couple days later. But it's fun. It's an absolute blast. The out-of-state hunting is just insane, man. Absolutely insane. It's something else. The people you meet, and I'll tell you, is how many people I've met throughout this past week. Good dudes, great dudes. Everybody was very, happy. They talk a lot. We talk about kind of like our trials and our ups and downs of the hunts. And one guy had shot a buck and he stopped by the campground and he's talking to us about what he did and how he was successful. And we kind of took that to our advantage, which was great. Kind of pointed me in the right direction. And then when that had happened, we were talking back and forth, and then I reached out to Jake Bush about asking him kind of some of the stuff that he's talked about past, on our podcast and others, because we listen to him, and
which kind of helped because we were right there. He just pretty much confirmed what we were thinking.
So what we wanted to know is in what direction that we wanted to look at these terrain features. So he kind of pointed us in the right direction of what those features needed to be.
Well, that's another thing that people don't think about. Your prevailing winds at home may not be the same prevailing winds when you start traveling.
Oh, absolutely.
So like here in Connecticut, we have a lot of northwest winds, and Ohio's a lot of northeast winds.
Which in northeast here, you would think that there's a storm coming
or leaving. Yeah. Right.
So that's what happens in those, but it's totally different everywhere else. And, everyone talks about the Midwest, and I think that, that Ohio is more Middle East than it is Midwest, because it's still that terrain, big mountains. You're hunting 900 above sea level to 1500 above sea level.
I feel like Ohio's split. I think you can draw the line like
central.
Pennsylvania's like, kind of get into that mid east, and then you get into eastern Ohio, and then when you get like Columbus, half of Ohio,
central.
Once you get west of Columbus, now you start talking Midwest. So like it's almost like that Midwest line.
It's agricultural. You're hunting fingers.
Yeah.
You're hunting drainage ditches, like low variance drainage ditches.
So it's almost like that line you would call the Midwest is almost splits down the middle of Ohio.
Yeah, central Ohio.
So you were more eastern.
I was eastern Ohio.
So you weren't quite into
southeastern Ohio.
That Midwest country.
And it's fun though, because the years before I hunted, west of the central line, so it was more that flat terrain, hunting fingers and ditches and stuff like that Midwestern style hunting. And then this year to hunt the eastern side of it. And the year prior to that, so 19, I had hunted both. 20, I hunted both, flat western side, because I do 2 weeks. So I do the last week of October, first week of November. And this year we kind of targeted on that eastern side, and I'm kind of glad that I did. The pressure is a little bit heavier, right? I mean, you're hunting in some areas where there's just a lot of hunters. And
I think part of that comes from being farther east. It's a shorter drive from a lot of these East Coast guys. Like, you're in New York.
Do you know something funny? And I don't mean to cut you off, but
you did.
Yeah, well, I didn't mean to, but I did. But I don't really care.
I'm the host here.
Yeah,
so
that's
know
great.
your role.
Yeah, whatever. But it's my show, so I can talk.
Not anymore.
So no, it's my show. Like it's mine. Like you're hosting.
Oh
yeah, I'm the talker.
Whatever.
So, anyways, I thought, in my mind, being on the eastern side of Ohio, that it would be more Pennsylvania people.
Yeah, I would have thought that too.
Michigan.
Oh, coming down from the north.
Yeah, it's about a 3 to 4 hour ride.
I didn't think Michigan people would go to Ohio being
a ton.
Yeah, but
a metric ton.
Go Buckeyes.
There was more.
Get the Wolverines out of here.
There was more Michigan people than I seen any other state. Yeah. Which is cool. It was cool to meet somebody like that.
What about like Vermont, New Hampshire?
There was a bunch of Vermont guys. New York is kind of. There was a decent amount of New York guys, a decent amount of Vermont guys. But for a majority of them was
you
Michigan.
Got to think those guys, more than likely they're going to target more that eastern side of Ohio instead of pushing through to that western side of Ohio.
But it's far.
Yeah. Oh, it's still far.
It's still far.
But you're talking another 2 hours to get
right.
Added to the trip to get to that west side.
From us, and it's 10 hours for me. But no, it was, so we had started our trek Saturday. We were planning on leaving at noon. We ended up leaving. We ended up rolling into town about 1 a.m.
What time did you leave?
Like 2.
Did you forget anything?
No, I didn't forget anything.
You didn't have to come back or anything?
No, okay. No, not this
good.
trip.
That's
good.
That's
a good start.
When that happens, right away it's gonna be a good trip.
Yeah. Well, I wish I forgot Steve. No, just kidding. No, you know how it is. Like, when you're not ready, like me, I pack all week for it. I'm very prepared, organized.
Yeah, right. Are you kidding?
I had everything.
It looks good on paper.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks good. It looks good on camera. So we had taken off. We had gotten into town about about 1 a.m. We had crashed up in the Walmart parking lot in the camper, because we towed the camper behind the truck, and so we crashed up in the camper for the first night. In the morning, Sunday morning, we were gonna head over to the campground, get checked into the campground, set up camp, and then head off into scouting. And we did just that. And so we got set up in camp. We wanted to get comfortable, get everything all where it needs to be, drive around, see if anybody was doing what they needed to do. We broke into a couple different properties that I had kind of e-scouted and gotten pins from some friends and so on and so forth to go check it out. So I went in there, checked those places out, 2-3 spots, bounced around. I said, okay, this is where I want to be. Our good buddy Sean, he had said, listen, there's normally a scrape line in this area. So I said, okay, great. So I go in there, scrape line was right where he said it was. I mean, to the T. So the next morning, Monday morning, I didn't set up a stand in there, and I probably should have. It probably would have been a little bit easier for me, but the trees, there wasn't a lot of shooting being on that riverbank. So I was like, whatever. I said, I'll just go in there. Well, I had checked the second spot, and I thought maybe that was going to be my spot. But the first spot, the riverbank, we'll call it the riverbank, was my spot that I was going to probably hunt for the majority of it, as long as the wind was where it needed to be. Southeast wind, so it would have been blowing towards the river the whole entire time for that next Monday, the Monday morning hunt. So I broke in there real early in the morning, got in there, got up in a tree. I had no shooting lanes. I mean, very little shooting lanes. As far as, what needed to be done. It was going to be 75 that day. So I hunted in the morning, didn't hunt in the afternoon. Seen a doe and 2 skippers. They had come from the north, headed south, crossed over the river. So I was like, all right, so this is what those deer are doing. They're coming from the north and they're coming down. So I'm coming from the north to the south also, and I'm sitting along on the riverbank, and I got a southeast wind, so it's blowing back towards the river. And these deer are coming down through this drainage ditch, and they're crossing over the river and bedded on the other side. So that's what's in my mind. So I'm setting up for this, right? And so in the afternoon, I had hunted another spot. One of the second spots I had checked out was on the Oak Ridge, and didn't see anything, but there had been a little bit of sign, not a lot of movement. It's kind of warm, and like things were a little bit tough, and I didn't really know, what to expect, right? This is the heart of it. It's warm. And a couple of days prior, it was sick. I was gonna say that. It was like, it was cold, and talking to all the locals and the taxidermists and all the friends and that are down there, they're like, it's insane. It's like, it's off the wall. Big bucks are dying everywhere. Right. So we get down there and we get a warm front. And, so I'd hunt in the afternoon, didn't see anything. Monday morning, I said, you know what? I'm going back in, and I'm all day sitting. So Tuesday, I go in and I all day sit, and I get in the same exact tree. About 11 or 12 o'clock, I hadn't seen a deer, and I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. I'm going to go check another spot. So I go and hunt another spot in the afternoon. I didn't see anything, so it was real slow. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to do something else. Now it's about to be Wednesday, and I'm like, I got to do something else here. Wednesday morning, it rained. I did not hunt Wednesday morning, scouted another spot. Wednesday afternoon. What did we do Wednesday afternoon? Oh, you know what we did at Wednesday afternoon? We ended up going and checking out another piece of public land down the road. Got some leads from some friends, and our good buddy Dylan, he had checked out a couple of spots. And he said, go and check it out. When we had got down there, Steve wasn't really what Steve wanted to hunt.
I thought it looked awesome.
I thought it looked very awesome too, as far as funnels and pinches. I couldn't remember which one
you were talking about till you just said it, but now I remember. Yeah.
That was kind of like, and I knew about some good bucks that had been in there prior. And I think we probably could have grinded out there. A little bit more truck action there than there was in other spots. But I think it's something that I might be going back to in the future as far as what it is. To be honest, I think next year I'm definitely going to focus a little bit more time there, I think.
Yeah, I want to slow you down there for a second, though, because I think a key part of this hunt was you definitely spent your time a good balance between hunting and scouting. Because a lot of people, when they go on a hunting trip, they want to spend morning, afternoon in the tree, all day sits for 5-day hunt, say, or I don't how long was your hunt? Was it?
I think we did 7 nights. Yeah, 7 nights.
But whatever, say it's a 5-day hunt, 6-day hunt, 7-day hunt. People want to hunt. They want to be in the trees. The only way they're going to kill is in the tree. Well, you're not going to see a lot. You better, your e-scouting has to be dead on if you're going to spend every day in a tree. At some point, you're going to have to get down, poke around a little bit, do some scouting, because you're going to have to, you got to find the deer one way or the other.
There's checks and balances in it. And I think it's something that, I'm still obviously learning what to do and what not to do. I think I've hit the nail on the head year after year after year, honestly. Just a luck draw, right? It's really all it is. And being able to get in there and, you feel obligated to hunt the whole entire time that you're there. But in all reality, I think that what you need to do is you need to find that balance where when you see an opportunity where there's not a lot of, say it's too warm or it's going to rain.
That helped you. I think the weather, as much as the weather sucked, it kind of gave you that opening. You know what? It's going to be hot this midday. I'll hunt the morning. I can scout in the afternoon. There's really no sense to sit all day on some of those days, but watching the weather for the week, you knew it was going to get better late in the week.
Wednesday was supposed to break Wednesday night.
So early in the week, you got your morning hunts in, you got your afternoon scouting in, you got your evening sit in, and you kind of started, piecing it together, setting yourself up for the good weather late in the week.
So I hit the nail on the head in the first spot where I knew I was going to hunt.
Yep.
That was my best opportunity, right? But I didn't know that
best sign.
It was the best sign. It was the best, rut activity, but it wasn't. I didn't know that it was my best. I needed to go and figure out that it was my best.
Right.
You go and you check a couple more spots, and there was a couple more spots that were probably just as good, but probably didn't hold bigger deer. And I was looking for a bigger deer. I wasn't looking for a mega giant.
But
if it was the one,
I also think your spot was a little bit overlooked by most guys, because some of those other spots, when you looked at them on the map, it was like, ooh, look at that spot. Well, everybody's got hunt stand and onyx now, and everybody's attracted to those spots that look really good.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. You kind of got to keep in your mind when you're doing it. Either it's walking real deep, or it's hunting real close. And the thing is, everybody is getting to that aspect of wanting to go deep, and they're overlooking some of these terrain features that are close.
That, and I think ag attracts a lot of people, especially out of staters that don't hunt ag or don't get a chance to hunt ag. When they go on those trips, they see ag fields. They want to hunt near ag fields.
So in being the last week of October, the corn's not cut yet.
Right.
So it only hinders you at that point, hunting agriculture. Like, they're going to be like in a pre-rut situation. Them deer, from what I've understood in doing this for a couple of years now, those deer will run the edges of the ags, and there'll be a lot of scrapes and a lot of rutting activity on the edges of them. But in all reality, everybody and their brother is going to go there.
Right.
So I try to step away from them and kind of find other areas that might be effective for me to be like away from them. And that's why I chose a bottom by a river as my spot
across the river
ag, so that they had to get, if they were bedding on my side, that they had to go through me to get to there. So it was more or less that food to bed, and you're still hunting that food to bed area in that transition, so that those deer are still crossing through there and looking at those topographical features, so that they're gonna move through there. But I'm still in the ag area, but I'm offset of the ag area, and I'm not have to worry about other people, because when I had gone to hunt Thursday morning, I believe it may have been Thursday morning, Wednesday night, Thursday morning.
What morning did you go to that other spot?
That's what I'm talking about. I think it was Thursday morning.
Yes, I think
because I all day sat Friday. So Thursday morning, we were Wednesday night we were driving. So Wednesday night we had gone into the new spot, and we had checked that area, and we didn't really care for it. It wasn't that great. So we said, you know what, we're going to shoot back to the public land that we're hunting. We're going to try and scout. Like, let's blow the whole day. Let's scout and see if we can find deer. Steve was able to find a ton of deer in an area. He was, was running late one morning. he had forgot his stuff, and he was driving, and there was a bean field that had just been cut, and a bunch of deer had been piling into that bean field. And so he's like, look, public's across the road. They're coming to and from. The place is loaded. There's got to be 30 deer. And he pulled the Dan in full, fucking the fat chick. And literally, if you guys haven't seen that, that's hilarious. But the thing is,
basically, it's a spot that it's a good spot and it can produce. But if your buddy walked by and saw you in that tree, he'd laugh at you and ask you, wouldn't know why you were hunting that spot. It doesn't look like a good spot.
And it was because he was in deer every day, 4, 5, 6 deer around him all time when he was in there. Tons of scrapes, great buck activity, smaller bucks, but damn, it didn't matter. He was in the money. That next deer could have been 160 that come rolling through there.
Right.
He was in it, dude. I mean, him and the fat chick were just doing their thing, and it was a good spot. And he had found that spot, but and it was because that Wednesday of spending that time and scouting, and we had drove by, and probably a mid-50s deer had crossed out of public onto more public, but it was standing corn. So he had transitioned down, and what it was the road, and it was a fat chick spot also. And
super fat. She was 250 dress.
Yeah, 250 dress. Yeah, exactly. But you still cut the Zeus loose on her. So the thing is, there was a cornfield on one side.
Almost like an oxbow, though.
It was like an oxbow.
So you had the river to the north, like kind of like a big river bend to the north, and it was all corn.
Well, it's beans down on the river. Oh no, on the river. And then there was a small, maybe like 100 acre field of corn.
Right.
And then there was the road, and then we had the oxbow with a pond in the middle of it, and then there was a flat transition bench that rolled into a ditch with a giant hill on it.
Right. But the funny thing about that spot was, because I was constantly e-scouting with you the whole week.
Right. I know everyone's probably wondering, like, how did he know where that
I knew
was?
yeah.
We were sending pins back and forth.
So I'm e-scouting just I'm not even talking to Trev. I'm just looking at where he's at, and I'm just constantly searching for something to check out for him. And I was like, oh shit, look at this spot, So I called Trev because it's dark now. And I said, hey, have you looked at that spot to the east or where you were a little bit?
Yeah.
I said, that spot to the east. And Trev's like, where? And I start describing it. And he goes, funny you should say that. We just drove by there. And there was like a 150 across the road into that ag field. And when he crossed the street, he's coming off of public. So I said, you might want to go in there in the morning because he can't go anywhere. He's on an oxbow.
That was
in the ag. And he's going to cross that road and go back up that hill tomorrow morning, and he's probably going to do it before the sun comes up. He's going to cross that road in the dark, and you got to beat him to the other side of the road.
And the thing about that is that it was one of those spots where it was definitely not an overlooked spot.
But we thought it was an overlooked spot.
We thought it was an overlooked spot.
Because it was like,
we thought it was a fat chick spot.
How far from the road are you?
Dude, I 75 yards.
I was going to say 60, but probably 70 yards.
And so I get in there early. I'm an early dude. I got to get in there an hour
extra
and 20
early
minutes.
Because Steve that was another thing that played a big part in this.
It helped me a lot all week.
Helped you or hurt you?
What's that?
Not having a truck.
Not having a truck definitely hurt me. But it was getting me into my spots even earlier.
So I'm taking over your story because I'm the host and I can do that. So what was going on was they had one vehicle. It was Steve's truck. So Steve would drop Trev off at wherever Trev wanted to hunt, and then Steve would have to scoot up the road to his spot to get in the woods with plenty of time for him to get set up. So Trev was getting dropped off a little bit extra early. But the problem is there's no truck in the parking lot. So what's happening is guys are coming in behind Trev thinking they're running on time because Trev's already in there extra early. They're pulling in the parking lot. There's no truck there. So they think they got the place to themselves. So they're heading into the woods. Surprise, surprise. Trev's already set up.
Hitting them with lights.
The lights. Like, get out of here. Get out of here. And, they're just as shocked to see Trev as, there's a pro and a con to it. And it was something that you battled, not all week, but on a fairly regular basis, you would have
The thing there, right? So that one that you're actually talking about, where we had seen that 160 jump across the road.
Oh, he's a 160 now? I thought he was 150.
Well, whatever, dude. It's
since
a
you
hunt
didn't shoot him,
story.
he might have been 180.
It's a hunting story. Yeah. What does it really matter?
200.
It's big. It's big. It's big. So anyway, so that one there. It was one of those spots that was not overlooked. That it was a very easy access spot where a lot of people actually hunted, and I didn't realize it. So Steve drops me off. I jump in the woods. I go around and I get on the in this perfect terrain feature that was if I got in there before him, he was going to stage up there, and I was definitely going to be able to kill him.
That's
right?
exactly what it's like. A classic staging area down in the bottom where they would stage up before they'd cross the road for the night, or they would cross the road in the morning and stage up there before they headed up the hill to bed. And
so that in that area, I'm in there and I'm setting up and I jump in this tree, dude, and I climb up in this tree, and there's an old bow hanger from like 1945, if they even made bow hangers back then in 1945, but it was in the tree. Like the tree ate it probably like 3 inches.
As much as you leave shit behind, it's probably your great-great-great-granddaddy's bow hanger.
It probably was. So I climb up this tree and I see this old bow hanger, and I'm like, oh, I'm not the only one who chose this tree.
Must be a good tree, yeah.
Must be a good tree. I love looking for old wooden signs, like wooden stands and stuff like that, because that tells me that I'm in the right area, man. Like that's the area to be in.
Especially with old 2x4 man-made tree stands.
Yep.
Because it had to have been a good spot for an old timer to spend that much time to build a freaking tree stand. You know, it wasn't just slapping up a portable or something like that. If you took 2x4s and 4x4s and screws and nails to build something, it had to have been a good spot.
And so I set up and I start to hear noise, right? And this guy's coming in with no light on, and I'm thinking it's the buck because he's making like, you know, he's kind of quiet but not really. But the way he's walking, it's like a deer would walk, kind of, sort of. You know what I'm saying? But in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's just getting light. It's perfect. It's like 6:55, shooting lights in 10 minutes. I'm like, oh, it's on. I said, he's going to be in here. At least he's going to be close when the light comes on, right?
Hit him with that nor'easter, and it's a wrap.
I'm like, he's going to be in the area. That's it. It's over. And I look, and it's a guy walking. I could just make out the silhouette. So I hit him with the light. So I hit him with the light, and he starts to walk away, you know? And I'm like, oh, all right, well, I'm good, dude. He's gone. Whatever. So the sun starts to come up, and I look. He made it to his climbing tree stand that he left there. It's 20 yards in front of me. There's a climbing tree stand right there, and that was the stand. He made it literally to his climbing tree stand, and I hit him with the light. Could you imagine the feeling? Like, what do you do?
That's another thing to take into consideration. I know you did it, and we talked about this, how much of a risk it would be.
I do it.
And I actually talked to Matt Katoya today about this because he was thinking about leaving his set in a tree after tonight's hunt and go back in the morning. The risk you run with that is if somebody beats you to that spot in the morning, you're screwed because he's going to whistle at you or shine you with the light. You got to leave. You don't have your shit. If you have your stuff, like if that guy would have taken his climber out, he could have at least went over the hill or over the next bench, and he would have been able to still hang somewhere. You cock blocked him. Like he can't even get to his stand and get out of there. But
the thing is, it's not the only stand that was in there. There was another one behind me at like 25 yards. Yeah. So it just goes to show how much pressure was in that tree. I mean, in that area. And then I look on the tree that I'm in, and they had screwed in a peg right where I was at. I was a little bit higher than them, and you look down, and they had come up on a climber. And I'm like, dude, this area is overhunted. This is not an area for me to be in. No. I need to get out of here. All right, they're all after the same deer. With that pressure on that deer is definitely betting on private land. We are on the private land side, and he is definitely on that side with that wind. I'm not going to see that deer.
I still, not knowing that ahead of time, it was still the move for that morning. Because with all the scouting you had done the days previous and the deer you had seen, the sign you had seen, I remember telling you, I'm like, dude, if you just saw 150 cross the street right there, that's the best intel you have right now. You saw the deer. You know it's a shooter. You look at the map. It's obvious what he's doing. You'd be crazy to not throw a hunt at it. You have to. You have to throw a hunt at it and see. Like roll the dice. See what happens. You rolled the dice. It was snake eyes.
That's that.
Not going back.
Yeah, and it is what it is, man. But you know what? You live and you learn.
Right.
You hunted that feature. You understand that. But that same feature, you could hunt a half a mile down the road, and nobody could have been on it.
Right. But I feel like as the week went on, as we started crossing out spots and circling spots, you almost start to get a feel for, you can almost anticipate where the hunting pressure is going to be based on what you see on the map. Like we'll see a spot and you're like, that's an obvious good spot, not going there.
Right.
Because everybody and their mother can see that. We had to find the spots within the spots that you really had to know what to look for to make it a good spot, because the obvious spots you could guarantee there was going to be hunters.
And that was the thing. So like when we had understood the terrain feature that we needed and we wanted to hunt, and we gone into those areas, we weren't the only ones that were in there, but we had to pick the ones. We had to dive into the areas that nobody else kind of knew, the little tricks and stuff that you didn't need. Because there was another one. We had hunted a ditch or a drainage ditch, the big drainage ditch. And same thing, guy come in on me, last probably 4:30. You could only shoot till like 6:30. So it would have been 7:05. I would have been able to shoot till.
Typical crossbow hunter.
Yeah. Well,
they come walking in last light, putting the old spot and stock on.
Because they can, because they're going to crossbow. Yep. So it's the same thing, 4:30, almost 5 o'clock. He's coming in on you.
Trev's been there since 1:30.
Yeah, exactly.
Waiting for prime time.
Like, dude, like, and you're there. I mean, when you're hunting out of state, man, like, you spend as much time in the tree as you possibly can, no matter what it takes. I mean, it is what it is. My all day sitting, and that's what I did. I mean, you try to find those areas that you want to hunt by scouting, wasting days to get into those prime spots and get on that X. And you spend all days in those spots, no matter what, whatever it takes.
It's a hunting trip. It's not a vacation.
No,
you're there. You're on a mission.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what it is. And you try to get in those spots, and you spend that time there, and it's gonna happen.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen when that weather breaks. It's gonna happen. So Thursday night.
You say that confidently, though.
Well,
I feel
it is.
Where are we at in the story? Thursday?
Well, I don't even know. So Thursday, Thursday morning, Thursday afternoon.
We're overlooking the frustration that is setting in here.
Well, it definitely is, because the week is coming along.
You're over the hump. You're past the midway way,
but I have the weather on my side.
Coming, yeah. But
no, I already have it.
Not to bring up old news, but your past history of how the season's been going between Bear Camp and Maryland and stuff like that, and stuff not coming together and not materializing for you. Now you're coming into the latter part of the week, and you're like, come on. You almost want to say you're getting a little impatient, if that makes sense. Like you're like, let's go. So that's kind of where I tried my best to, like, Trev, just relax, stay patient. You're making all the right moves. Just keep going to the good spots. Go to your best sign on your best condition. Like we talked about, you knew the weather was going to turn. We were anticipating that the better winds, the better temperatures later in the week, and you were setting yourself up perfect for it.
Right.
But it was like the anticipation of when it was going to happen, if it was going to happen, and just almost counting down the days till the hunt was over at this point.
And that's so Thursday night I had hunted
the drainage.
I hunted the drainage on Thursday night. The big drainage Thursday night.
You want to talk about hunting drainages a little bit?
I mean, I totally can. I don't really know much about them, just understanding how they work. I mean, and what that topographical feature is. It's a very tough hunt.
Yeah.
It's definitely a tough hunt.
So one thing I'll explain to the listeners is when it comes to winds and swirling winds, because drainages is a great place to hunt down low, because your bucks are going to bed up high on the leeward side, and they're going to drop into that drainage. And the reason why they do this is when a buck can bed on that leeward side of the hill, he's got the wind coming over his back. He's looking down into the drainage. So he's got his eyes down in the bottom, wind at his back. But he also gets the thermals rising out of the drainage, hitting him in the face. So he's almost got a wind at his back, a wind at his face, and he can see the whole bottom. So it's very hard to get in below those deer without being detected. The other problem with drainages is you have to hunt a drainage. You don't have to, but you want to hunt a drainage when the drainage runs in the same direction as the wind. So if you have drainage that's running, say it's coming off a hill from the north and the drainage is running down in heading south, the bottom of the drainage is facing south. You want to either straight north wind or straight south wind, and you'll get more of a true wind. Anytime you get a east or west wind coming across that drainage, that's when you're going to get that swirl. So you'll hear a lot of guys complain about, oh, the wind's swirling, bitching about their weather app or the weather app's wrong.
I complain about it all week.
It's not. The wind's right. They're not lying about the wind.
The thermals.
It's the thermal. There's usually always an explanation for why the wind's being wonky for you, and it could be like Trev said. It could be the thermals not being able to anticipate what the thermals are going to do, or it's the way the wind's swirling as it cuts across that terrain feature. So the more you know about that, you can set up or anticipate for. You can almost predict the unpredictable.
And that's what happens. So when your thermals are against your wind, then it starts to swirl.
Yes.
When you get the thermals with the wind,
yes.
you get your true winds.
Yeah, and when you really get it dialed in, like Trev said, if you understand thermals enough to expect what the thermals are going to do, and you have a wind prediction that matches what the thermals should do, it's almost money.
It's a no-brainer.
But if you've got thermals at a drop in from one direction and the wind blowing the other direction, I mean,
you hope and pray.
Good luck, yeah.
You hope and pray.
Yeah,
and
just don't bring milkweed because you don't even want to see. You don't even want to see the results.
You really don't. I mean, you really don't. I mean, I would hit the thing constantly, and I knew what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
I know how thermals work. I know how winds works, but I knew I needed to be in that spot no matter what it took. I knew those deer were going to be there.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that wind would overtake the thermals, and I would be able to crush with the wind being the way it was. And it took me a hunt or two to get it to where it needed to be. And that's so the important thing is Thursday night I hunted the big drainage. There was a lot of people hunting that drainage. There was ladder stands, there was climbers, people came in on me. I get it. I didn't realize it. There was a big access trail, so people were moving up and down through that drainage constantly. Not my place to be. Not where I needed to be.
Right. And again, back to what we said a little bit ago. This was a big drainage. You didn't need a magnifying glass to see this drainage ditch on the topographical map. So back to what we've been saying is the spots that just jump out when you're e-scouting, don't even bother. I mean, you might want to blast through there just to scout, but
maybe somebody overlooked it.
You're almost scouting more for people pressure than deer pressure, because if it's that obvious, the deer sign's gonna be there. You got to almost look for boot tracks.
See, one of the things that I could have, one of the things I probably could have used an advantage in a big drainage like that is on the off-coming drainages of that drainage.
Yeah.
So you can beat the deer to the people, right? So you're hunting the people instead of you're hunting the deer, right? So if that was a north running drainage, and they had east and west drainages coming off of it, you could have hunted one of the east or west drainages because it's that big of a drainage.
Right.
So then those people aren't hunting on the east and west drainage.
Right.
They're hunting the main drainage.
Yeah.
So you could hunt it that way, right? Even if the pressure was on it. So that could be kind of an advantage to that, and I think it was something that I could have done there, right?
Yeah.
Or hunt lower.
It just gets so complicated at that point because now you're getting so close to those little finger ridges where that buck should be bedding.
Correct.
Without previously postseason scouting and really doing
and
your
understanding
homework
if they were actually
to
on
just
there.
dive in blind. It could happen. It's Ohio. Anything can happen. But I mean, you would have to get dumb lucky to be able to pop into one of those secondary drainages and just hit the nail on the. Hit the home run out of nowhere.
Or it happens. I mean, it definitely happens. I mean,
that's what you go to Ohio for.
That's what you go. I mean, you live and you learn, and that's what you need to do in a hunting scenario like that is live and learn, because it definitely is fun. Screw it. See if that buck is going to come in. See if he's there, and then try and make a move on him that way. But
I don't think you can. Nothing could teach you more about hunting or what you think you know about hunting than going out of state and getting your ass handed to you.
And it's okay to get your ass handed to you.
Yeah, and then you come home.
It's so much fun.
Yeah, and then when you come home, you're like, let's go, baby. I'm back on my home track. I scout this all year round. I know what I'm doing now. But when you go eat a little humble pie and out-of-state hunt, You learn a lot.
Oh, you definitely do. And so Thursday night, I hunted that big drainage. Friday morning, I don't even know what the hell I did Friday morning.
You went back.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
No, because
All day.
did I all day sit there Friday?
That was the plan.
No.
Yes.
Saturday. Oh no, Friday.
Yeah, Friday night you went back to the.
So then it wasn't Thursday night then. That would have been because Thursday night I hunted. Thursday night I hunted in the spot where I killed.
Oh yeah.
So then I got it mixed up.
Yeah. So whatever. Same thing.
Yeah. So Thursday night I actually ended up hunting
back in the little drainage.
On the riverfront.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I did, and I did this so differently, like I had said in the beginning, I had hunted up against the river, and I just felt that I didn't have the shot opportunities because there wasn't a lot of trees there. There's a
scrape
ground
line
cover,
in there. It had to do with
it's the end of it.
The location of the scrapes.
It's the end of it, which I'm walking down the whole entire scrape line, and I'm like, I don't know if the deer are coming from the north or the south. We're thinking that they're coming from the south, which they ended up coming from the south, working their way north.
I remember you called me up when you. All right, so when you went,
because I was so questioning the situation.
But I just remember this now. I remember when you went in there. It must have been Thursday night. We got our days all screwed up. It must have been Thursday afternoon when you headed in there because you hadn't been there for a couple days.
Right.
2 days, I think.
One day. I didn't hunt there Wednesday, and I didn't hunt there Wednesday afternoon, and I went in there
Thursday or
Thursday afternoon,
Thursday
morning. No, I didn't go there Thursday morning.
Wednesday,
I went there,
and you didn't hunt there Thursday morning. When you went in
Friday.
Thursday afternoon,
yeah,
you called me up. I'm at work, and Trev's like, dude, all the scrapes are open. Oh my god, they're all open. And I'm like, all right, cool. Like, get in a tree. And he's like, you were like so spun up, you didn't know. You were trying to figure out which way he was going and where he's coming from.
Because I had it all back. Like,
yeah,
it didn't make sense.
And like, not to knock Trev, because when you're in the moment, you're like, you black out and you're like so excited. And me being not there, it's
no, but it wasn't even that. It's just that it was on the way that the scrapes were. And the way that the rubs were, the scrapes were one way and the rubs were the other way.
Yeah, so that's what I was getting into. So I'm like, okay, which way's the dirt thrown? You can tell which way he's traveling based on the way the dirt was thrown. And she was like, yeah, I forget which way the dirt was thrown. But the rubs, there was fresh rubs too. The rubs were rubbed on the opposite side that they should have been rubbed based on which way the dirt was thrown.
Right.
So now we're like, okay, so he came through in the morning and in the afternoon. You know what I mean? Because he's throwing dirt in one way and rubbing going the other way.
Now, hindsight, I'm thinking that it's not even that it was one buck going one way and the other way.
Right.
It's multiple deer coming.
Right.
So you don't know if they're coming north to south, south to west. I mean, south to east. I mean, south to north.
Get all spun up again.
Well, they're just coming from everywhere. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing. And the other thing, too, is so there were actually 3 or 4 of the scrapes were actually on the tote road. So they're walking down the tote road and turning into the scrape. So now they're blowing it back into the tote road or the two-track. And they're blowing it into it. So you're like, which way are they coming from? I don't know which way they're coming from.
The other thing, too, is a buck doesn't always just walk straight into a scrape and then kick dirt. I mean, I have a lot of cameras set on video on scrapes. You'll watch that buck come in from one direction and he'll button hook around it. Right there at the scrape. Not a big button hook, but he'll come around the scrape and face it a certain way, hit that scrape, and then turn and keep heading the same direction he was going.
Right. And that's so that was Thursday night. I know we got it all mixed up and I feel like crap, but whatever. So Thursday night.
I wasn't taking notes all week.
I know. Exactly. So Thursday night I had gone in there and I'd hunted, I set up, and I in the anticipation of hunting there all day Friday. I'm like, it's game time.
Friday was the day you were getting the cold front.
It was the coldest. So it was going to be 34 degrees in the morning, Friday morning. Yep. So I knew it was going to be good. And Saturday was going to be 31 degrees.
Yep. And you got the good wind that you were looking for.
So I got everything I need. I have an east wind, a northeast wind. So it's blowing right in my face, right back behind me, not where any deer are. So I'm like, okay, this is it. So Thursday night, I set up in there. I hunted. I'm like, okay. I've seen a ton of deer, small bucks, does. I'm like, okay, we're good. We got what we needed. Now it's just getting them into the thing, where I needed to be. And so I'm like, all right, Friday morning, I'm gonna go back in there and I'm gonna all day sit. So I got in there Friday morning, Dude, it was mayhem from the start. First off, there hadn't been anybody in that parking lot the entire time that I've hunted there. I've hunted there a handful of times already and never seen anybody in there. So Friday morning comes and we drive into the lot. It's like,
So granted, you left everything in the tree.
oh yeah, Friday morning.
Everything,
Yeah.
everything but your bow, like your camera,
My camera arm,
the camera arm, the
my
sticks, the
sticks,
platform.
Now, mind you, I'm running out on the limb Shikars.
Yeah.
They're $200 a piece.
Yeah.
Plus aiders.
Yeah,
They're 100, right?
they're $100 a piece.
No.
Yeah,
No.
they ain't 200.
Yes, they are.
No, they're not.
They're more than 100.
Yeah, a little bit, but regardless, who cares?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, you got $450 worth of sticks. You got a $200 platform.
No, and this is exactly what I'm thinking. I'm like, I have all my gear in there, my new sub arm, my bow hanger. My bow hanger is probably the most important thing because that was, Matt made that, and I didn't have
it was
one.
Brand new. You
Brand
just got
new.
it.
So I was like, okay. I need to get there early. So I pull in the lot, and Steve goes to drop me off, and there's another truck in the parking lot.
What'd you think? Your heart sunk?
Oh, dude, I'm like, well, there's nothing I can do. I can just hope that I make it to my tree stand without getting lighted. So I start walking down the tow road. I pack all my stuff, and I start walking to the tow road, and I'm like halfway there, and I'm like, all right, he hasn't lit me up yet. I made it all in my tree. Get up in my tree.
Well, I thought he was still sitting in his truck.
Well, I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
At that point.
Okay.
So I jump up in the tree, and I'm in the tree, and then I get a text from Steve, and Steve was like, the dude's still in the truck. And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? I'm like, whatever, dude, I win. Whatever, I got to my spot. I don't really care what he does at this point. So now I'm going to light him up. So he's there before me, and then he didn't come into the woods. Same thing, 6:50. And it's 7:05 is shooting in the morning. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, what do you mean? Like, what?
Do a crossbow.
I don't know. I didn't see him, so I don't know. So I end up hitting him with the light, and then he ends up turning, and he goes up into the woods up and behind me. And so we start off the hunt. Now, mind you, it's like maybe – so that was 15 minutes before shooting. About 5 or 6 minutes before shooting, it was about almost 7 o'clock, I could hear a deer coming, and then it's that buck walk. And I'm like, dude, that's a big deer. And I could just, start to silhouette it out, but I don't have enough light in my pin. I keep looking at my pin. I'm like, do I got enough light? No, the deer is probably within 20, maybe 15, and he's right there, dude. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me, bro. Just stick around. And I could see his white ass, as he's walking away. And I'm like, that's a big deer. Could kind of make out the silhouette of it. I don't know what it had for antlers on it, but definitely a good deer. So he's going south to north. And I'm like, all right, well, whatever. He's going to go up there and probably bed up, or I don't know what he's going to do at that point. But I'm like, that's a good deer. That's a shooter. So that looks good. And just as the morning started to unveil, I seen 7 deer that morning. I mean, there was a bunch of little deer, some does, a little bit of everything that morning. And I was like, all right, we're in the money. I had deer almost until 11:30. And that was about the last deer that I had was right about that time, was about 11:30. And that's where the thermals kind of started to play that role. Mm-hmm. And they were kind of spinning in there because they were starting to lose the rising thermals, and the wind so it's against it. So it's kind of like it would just kind of flip and start to go southwest. So it would have went right back down on that scrape line. Now I'm on the west side of the scrape line. There's a big scrape line coming from the south to the north. There's rubs everywhere. I'm in this ditch that turns out to this flat on the river. Like, dude, I'm in a super nasty pinch point. And that's when I decided to not sit up against the river, to come down the scrape line just a little bit, get that west wind, more shots, a little bit more transitions in there. There's a drainage ditch. There's 2 hills. Like, it's a super, 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 super pinch. They have to come by me if they're coming through there, unless they're going over the mountains. And so the thermals kind of screwed me. There was a smaller buck, tiny, maybe, a year and a half year old or whatever. And it's coming southwest, bro, and it's coming right over that scrape, and that deer is coming down the path. And it gets right there, and he didn't like scent me or any. I mean, he scented me, but he didn't really know what was up. He kind of like started to go, and then he smelled something, and he took like 2 steps back, and then just kind of turned and went the other way. Like he knew something was wrong, but didn't know what was wrong, right? So I'm like, all right, well, whatever, dude. As long as the wind kind of does what it needs to do, and it would just kind of like blow maybe once down southwest, and then it would go back northeast, and then it would go, it would just kind of nothing crazy. So I kind of sat there for the rest of the day, and at that point, I mean, now like it's starting to wear on me. Like, bro, I literally, dude, I have maybe like 2 hours of shooting light here on this day, on Friday, and I have Saturday morning and Saturday night. So I have like one more day. Like I'm in the crunch, and we were gonna hunt Sunday morning and take off, and so at that point, like that shit starts to wear on you pretty quick, and especially with the season kind of being the way as you guys have kind of heard in the last podcast, is that like I had a tough season. I mean things are tough. I mean,
just grinding
yeah,
out.
I know, but like bear season. I had bear season. I'm 2 weeks up there. I didn't happen to, kill a bear, it is what it is. I mean, that's my own fault. And then Sika season, or the Sika hunt, I missed one at 16 yards. So that shit's wearing on me. And then I come home and I miss a doe at 22 yards. I mean, that, now it's all on me, and I'm, the pressure's on at this point, and I'm starting to get upset with myself. And, you start to think, and you're sitting in the tree and you're like, what is going on this season? Like, why, when you're alone, you start to think about a lot of these things, and I'm starting to get emotionally upset, because I'm like, what the fuck, man? Like, this is how my season goes. I'm letting myself down. Like, there's a lot of emotions.
I think some of that comes, it's natural because you always think positive. So coming into the season, you're looking forward to a bear hunt. You're looking forward to your Sika hunt. You're looking forward to Ohio. And obviously preseason in your head, like when you lay down at night and you're dreaming about the season, you're expecting success in all these places. So when a hunt comes and goes and you don't get that success, you're like, shit, I thought for sure I was going to get this.
You think it's going to be a dynamite season, right?
Right.
And then there's a lot of it that, like, I don't know how deep I want to go in on this, but so there's a lot of like times that we talk about it a lot where there's like, like I've had people in the past that were saying like, what makes it so that you are capable of having a podcast and giving people advice if you don't shoot deer, or you don't shoot animals, or you don't kill things, and so on and so forth. Well, it's not that, right? Like
No.
it's not that. Like I don't need to be 100% successful on every single hunt that I go on. I get that and I understand that, but to a point, you have to at least take yourself through those trials to understand how to deal with those situations, right? And
but you don't have to go on a successful hunt to be able to come back and talk on a podcast. You could go and get your ass kicked and come and teach lessons that you learned,
so that those people don't make those same
mistakes. Yeah,
right.
So
and it's
people
not,
that just worry about the success,
and it's not a success. Them. It's not a success thing to me, man. Like it's really not a success thing at all. It's just a fact of that, like, there is a ton of people watching on you, right? Like they want to see what you're doing and they want to learn from you, and you do want to be successful because in the grind of the podcast or the YouTube page or whatever the case may be, you want to be able to get that content, right? So like that shit kind of wears on you, man. Like, yeah, you don't need to be successful, and people do learn from you missing or you going on those hunts and being successful. So like you sit in that tree, man, and you start to think about it and you start to rethink, everything that goes on, and you're rethinking not your life, but you are, right? I mean, like you're thinking like, I need to, it wears on you, bro. It just adds extra weight.
It's added pressure.
It really is when it comes
really
down to it.
doesn't need to be there, but it is.
So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, like, dude, listen, like, I'm about to eat tag soup. Now, it would be 2 years of me coming to Ohio. I came here, and this is the other thing that, like, thinks in your mind, right? And you're like, all right, well, the first year I came to Ohio and I shot a 160, And then it's just a luck thing, right? Because people are going to go, oh, he just got lucky. He shot a 160. Yeah, I did get very fucking lucky. I get it. I understand it. And I'm very thankful that I got that lucky. And I'll take it for luck. I'd rather be lucky than good any day, right? But the whole thing is that, like, you just get a little bit – it starts to tear on you. And you're grinding. You're not sleeping a ton. You're walking around miles. You're putting boots on the ground. You're trying to add everything together. You're trying to use your network, your friends, everything to try and get this thing all to go together, right? So it's Friday. It's Friday afternoon, midday. It's slow, a little warm, right? I'm tucked in with all my great Huntworth gear. Speaking of, that shit fucking really took care of me this season. I know it's a plug, but wow.
Shameless plug.
It is a shameless plug, but it definitely did. So, anyways,
I told them all about it.
You did.
The sponsors.
Oh, I missed that part
when you.
I know when you did that
Don't
thing.
Worry. Okay. They'll buy it because I said. So.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad that they would.
Especially once they see your picture with your buck wearing your Huntworth.
Yeah, exactly. My blue jeans.
New sponsor, Wrangler jeans.
Yeah, Wrangler jeans. Actually, just Walmart.
Get them at your local Walmart.
I wear the shitty ones because my wife, I destroy them. But anyways, so it's mid afternoon, and I'm just wearing to myself, man. I'm like, I'm gonna eat tag soup. I'm gonna eat tag soup. So, about 20 minutes, half hour before shooting light, I had a doe come down from behind me, walk down the trail 20 yards. And she kept on going, kind of watched her, whatever. And I'm like, all right, well, do I punch the tag?
Was it really that close to closing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I wasn't sure. But
yeah.
You got to remember, it's tough for me to keep track because
times are a little bit different.
Yeah, so I know what.
Like 15-minute difference.
I'm looking
right?
out my window, and I'm like, it's closing time.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah, and you still got shooting light.
Mm-hmm. So then a couple minutes later, I look out. And about 75, 80 yards, dude, I just see a rack. And I'm like, all right. I go, it's on now. I go, this is it. I said, this is the one. And I'm like, it's coming together, right? And there's a lot of things that, like, happen to you. And, like, you like going back to that midday getting emotional, right? A butterfly comes in and lands on my backpack. Aww. And you're like, oh, that's somebody watching out on you, like thinking about you. It's a good luck omen. A ladybug. You see a lot of things, and mentally, dude, you're sitting there like, could you imagine the people that are like in that TV show Alone? Like the things that they go through their mind, and I haven't talked to anybody for weeks, months.
And they're at eating.
Yeah, exactly. And dude, listen, I've just been there, and I've eaten only two tuna packets all day.
Yeah.
I mean, things are getting weird.
Just waiting for Mexican and margaritas.
Yeah, exactly. So I need to shoot something so we can celebrate, don't you know? So the buck is coming. And he's coming from the west to the east, and he's about 80 yards out. And I could just see, like the light just kind of like glimmers on one side of the rack. And I'm thinking, oh, this is a good buck. Like this is.
Do you think it was the one that walked by at first light?
I don't know, man. I'm not really sure if it was or it wasn't.
It's hard to say for sure.
It is. Yeah. It was too dark, but I mean,
it doesn't really matter.
No, it doesn't. I mean, I'm curious too, really. And so
ask him.
Yeah, I know. So this deer's out there, and he comes in, and he's just kind of like cruising, right? And he like stops, and he's just chilling. And I'm like, all right, turn, come up the trail, turn, come up the trail, turn, come up the trail, because the trail's going down that way. And I'm like, turn, come up the trail. And there's been bucks that have gone that direction and then come up. So I'm like, come on up the trail, come on up the trail. So he starts to go, and I'm like, it's all or now, it's now or never, because I'm gonna hit him with the nor'easter. So I hit him. Burp, and he just turns his head, and I go burp, burp, and now he's starting to come. Well, at this point, a deer comes off the top of the hill and starts running down, and it's like crashing, making all kinds of noise, like running through the woods. Like, I don't know if I scared it with the grunt tube or what happened. The other hunter was up there and scared him. I don't know what happened, but I'm kind of freaking out because I'm like, oh shit, like this whatever deer this is going to scare off the deer that I'm trying to kill.
But correct me if I'm wrong. You're between the buck and that doe running, no?
No, so that doe running is running from like southwest to my right.
Yep.
I mean, off my left-hand shoulder. I'm
Yep.
sorry. So it's coming off the top of the hill down towards the river on my left, about 75 yards to my left, running down towards the river.
Okay, and he's over close to the river too.
And he's on the river, but he's more on the eastern side.
Right.
He's southeast of me. She was southwest of me.
Okay.
So the buck's standing there and just watching. You just stand him and he's just watching and watching and watching. This goes on for like 4 minutes, dude. After I had grunted at him, just standing there watching him.
He's like, "What are you doing, bitch?"
Yeah, exactly. Why? What? Yeah.
Wrong with you?
Who's pushing you around? What's going on? So he like snaps out of it, dude, and he just snort wheezes at me.
I think he made a scrape first. No.
He was in the process of making a scrape when that doe came down.
Yeah.
And so he snort wheezes at me.
Freaking incredible. I've never heard a buck snort wheeze, personally.
So, the past 2 times in Ohio, I've had 2 encounters like split. That buck was making a scrape or a rub out of the bedding area in 2000. That was the 2019 buck or 2020 buck. Yeah. And he was making a scrape and was coming out of a bedding area. There was a small buck in front of me, and he was grunting at this buck, like, and then he was making a rub, and I watched him, and I filmed the whole entire thing of him coming out. And this buck kind of did the same thing. He was going, I grunted at him, he made a scrape, watched that doe. Now he's sitting there, and it's about 4 minutes, and he's just standing there, dude, just like motionless, just standing there, just watching. And I'm like, all right, enough is enough. Let's go. Come on. Yeah. Come on. And I don't know if I hit him. At this point, I'm like, do I hit him with the snort wheeze or what? And then that's when he had snort wheezed. And then he starts coming. And it's, dude, tail up, hair standing up, stiff as a board.
Ears pinned back.
Ears pinned, like everything you could imagine. Like, dude, I thought it was Sunday morning, outdoor channel, dude. I'm in Kansas. I mean, I am in Ohio, but I feel like I'm in it, dude. I'm like
Milk River, Montana.
Yeah, I'm like it's the 7th of November, I feel like. And this buck just starts coming at me, dude, and he's coming right down the scrape line. He hits and makes another scrape about 20 yards past that, coming towards me. So he hits that scrape, makes that scrape, and then he starts coming. Now he's coming into that transition, and he gets into the scrape. He starts to lick up the licking branch. I'm already at full draw at this point, and he's quartering to me, and I know that shot, and I take that shot. I've taken that shot, and I know that shot, and I've been very successful with that shot on bucks. And the thing that kind of got me in it, and obviously, as you guys all know, with the misses and everything and how the season has gone, I guess it kind of got the best of me, and I took the shot on a 1/4-2 shot. But there's a tree there, so his head is kind of behind the tree. He's looking up, and he's kind of like sniffing at that branch. Both feet are just hooves right next to each other. He's stiff-legged, wide open, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna thump him right here. So I'm at full draw, and I
how far is the shot?
25 yards to that. I'm 25 yards from that scrape. Mm-hmm. So I knew
and he's standing in the scrape.
Oh, he's standing right in the scrape, and I'm like, dude, it's over now. And my bow's set at 25 yards. I was set at 25 yards all day because I knew I was going to kill one in that scrape. Right. That's what I wanted to do, and I was very confident I was killing one in that scrape. If he was coming in and they were in my zone, I was killing one in that scrape. And so my bow's at set for 25 yards, and 1/4-2, man, buried the pin and just let it rip.
Let the Zeus loose?
Yeah, just cut the Zeus loose. And I was shooting the Zeus. I was thinking about shooting the hair, but I thought that...
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought it was the hair.
No, I shot him with the Zeus. And it was one of those things, and I did this again in 2020. I literally woke up that morning, and I had taken out my Elite Synergy. I brought both bows with me in 2020. And instead of taking out my brand new Elite Cure, I took out my Synergy. And it was just something in my mind that just said, just need to let her eat. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, today's the day, and I'm going to shoot it, and I'm going to bring out Old Faithful, and I'm going to shoot my buck.
You didn't tell me this.
Yeah, so I shot
my buck. Just finding this out first time.
So I shot my buck in 2020 with my Elite Synergy. It was just something, I woke up in the morning, and I brought it because I'm just very confident in it, right? Mm-hmm. And when you have confidence, I mean, archery is 95% confident in my opinion. And when you're confident, then that's when you're going to kill. And so I brought out the synergy, and I ended up killing that buck with that synergy. That I killed a ton of deer with that bow. Probably one of my favorites. And it was the same thing. When I got up in the stand that morning, I said to myself, I'm going to kill one with the Zeus today. It's just something that, I love that.
Old Faithful, yeah.
It's Old Faithful. I love that broadhead. That broadhead has done me nothing but good. Every single time that arrow with that broadhead leaves my bow, I've had success. So I'm going to put on a Zeus. So I had a brand new Zeus, never used, nothing, brand freaking new when I left here. Actually, I stole it out of my wife's bow. And so I put that in the bow in the morning, and I said, I'm going to kill today. I'm confident in it, and this is Old Faithful is going to do it. So I cut the Zeus loose on this buck, and he was quartered to, and I let him have it. So he takes off, and he starts to go, and he just takes a complete and utterly 180 and starts to go back out, makes a bigger loop. But you could tell he was kind of screwed up, right? Like he's trying to go, and his tail's between his legs, and I knew I hit him good, and I thought I hit him more shoulder than I did, right? I'm a little further back after reviewing footage. And he starts heading to that private land. And now, mind you, like everything that I've ever learned, and probably a lot of you have ever learned, is when a buck starts to go uphill, it's not good. Yes and no, right? Mm. So when you're tracking a buck and it's continually going up a hill,
yeah. If he makes it to the top of the hill, it ain't good.
It's not good. And so I'm like, all right. So I have a ditch, and then it starts to go up the hill, but 3/4 up the top of the hill, or well, kind of really the top of the hill, is the hill goes. It's a drainage. It goes up the hill. There's a bench, and then it goes up again, another bench, and then it keeps on going, and then it's private land on top. So I'm like, if he makes it up there, I'm screwed. Ohio, you cannot cross borders. You need to call a landowner to get on to grant permission to be able to go and get the buck, as it is in Connecticut too. Right. Some states, like Maryland, you have 100 yards from the property line.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So you have 100 yards from I was told, you have 100 yards. If you can see the buck, you can go and get it and retrieve the buck without a weapon and then come back on. And Connecticut, I always thought was if you don't go on with a weapon, then you're good to grab it and then come back. But I could be wrong there. But Ohio, you need to contact the landowner. So I'm like, all right, I need to get out of here ASAP. Do not push this buck up there. Review the footage. Always review the footage. It's always my MO when it comes to this. And just get out of here and go with that. So I pack up my stuff, take all my stuff out of the tree, head down to the truck where Steve's going to pick me up. And he shows up, and he's like, all right, well, what are we going to do? I'm like, because I had already called him and told him I shot a buck. And he's like, well, what are we going to do? I said, we're going to go get dinner, and we're going to look at the footage, and we're going to decipher what we're going to end up doing.
Did you get Mexican? Margarita?
No, hell no, dude. I honestly
didn't even eat?
No, I didn't even eat. I really didn't.
Hell no.
Actually, I'm sorry. I did eat after I calmed down, but at first I didn't. And that peckerhead, right? So we get back to camp, and he's like, well, why don't we just grab a drink and some food here, and then we'll go in? I go, no. I said, drive back to camp. I want to look at my computer, and I want to see what the footage is. And he's like, why? I'm like, I want to see what the footage is. It tells the story. I can tell you exactly what happened by my footage. So we get back to camp, and I look at the footage, and he's like, no, dude. He goes, Steve was like, Slazowicz was like, no, you cannot go in tonight. You can only go in the morning. He goes, that might have been one lung, but definitely gut. Like, you cannot go in the morning. I mean, you cannot go in until the morning. But then at that point, then what's playing in my head is it's Saturday. There could potentially be a ton of people in there. I'm going to ruin their hunts. I said, this sucks. And if he's on private, what if that guy's in there hunting? So I'm getting research. I end up finding out that what the landowner's name was, find out his phone number. And so I had it for the morning if I had to get onto private. And we ended up... Steve ended up. This is where he's a peckerhead. He ate his leftover sandwich when I'm pacing around calling everybody, trying to determine whether or not. And I'm like, yo, what do we have for dinner? I already ate my sandwich. I'm like, what do you mean you ate your sandwich? Yeah, I had leftovers from yesterday. What are you going to have? And I'm like, you're about to eat a knuckle sandwich, bro. Like, you ate without. What do you mean?
You know what you ain't eating? Tenderloins, because you ain't got no deer, Steve.
Yeah, exactly. Like, what the hell, bro? Like, so I'm like, well, I guess then let's go to Wendy's. So I ended up going to Wendy's, and I ended up getting Wendy's. I don't know,
Spicy
some
nuggets?
chicken sandwich.
Spicy?
Oh, spicy nuggets are good.
Oh, yeah.
Never had no spicy
You had the
nuggets.
spicy chicken sandwich from Wendy's?
Yeah, spicy chicken sandwich
Think
is
of
what
that.
I get. Yeah.
But nuggets.
Yeah. Oh, what did I?
They got rid of it for a while, but I think they brought them back.
Oh, they had the pretzel roll that they had brought back. It's the spicy bacon something or other spicy sandwich. That's what I ended up actually having.
I was trying to get to go to Arby's.
Yeah, I know.
To shake up the bad luck for the week.
I know, but there wasn't really an Arby's real close to where we were. We would have totally went to Arby's, but
I can't drive past an Arby's.
No?
No.
You really like it that much?
Well, we don't have them around here, so if I get the opportunity, I got to go.
Yeah, it's very true. There used to be an Arby's around
There was
here.
one in the mall. It's gone now.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Yeah.
let's get back to the deer story.
Whatever. So he didn't.
You're ruining my podcast here.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. You're supposed to keep it on track, host. So so we ended up waiting in the morning, and what a restless night. Like I probably played everything in my head 1,000,001 times. I had
You sent me the footage.
Yeah, but you can't. It's grainy.
You had bad service at the campsite. Trying to send it to me. Was it a recording of a recording? Did you just video your computer screen at that point?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
So it was stupid grainy. Even if I'm running it in slow mo through my phone, it's like very choppy, and it's like I don't know. You second guess what you can see. And did you talk about the penetration or no?
No, I didn't talk about penetration.
So the penetration looked weird on the footage.
Yeah.
So at the angle, it almost you got to assume
that's one of the problems with Luminox with videoing.
Right. Yeah, because it's almost like an optical illusion. So the penetration didn't look good. So as Trev's telling me on the phone, because I haven't seen it yet, I'm thinking in my head it's got to be off shoulder. Because what's going to stop a Zeus at that angle? You must have hit off shoulder, and at that angle, I'm thinking if you hit the off shoulder at that angle, that's double lung all day. But come to find out, it was actually behind the shoulder, and what actually ended up stopping it was
the
hind leg bone, which is really good penetration, a lot better penetration than.
Yeah, we had thought we had maybe 10.
Either way, though, we knew it was enough.
So it was liver gut, top of the lung or bottom of the lung, liver gut.
Yeah,
how
definitely smoked the front lung.
It was one lung. There was definitely a punch in one lung, liver, gut, and then it ended up hitting the offside back leg. Like it was right in front of his sack. There was a hole right there, and that's where it was like wearing to come out, and then it ended up falling out.
Which is almost full penetration on the full length of the deer, almost.
Yeah, there was no stopping it at that point.
Right.
But I mean, we didn't know at that point, dude. You're like, what are you gonna do, man? You gotta. When in doubt, back out. I mean, this is the best thing you could do. Let it lay for the night. Not that's what you want to do.
It was a cold night, so if he lays down, he's gonna stiffen up. He's gonna have a hard time getting up out of that bed.
Right. It's and it's just one of those things. It is what it is. So the next morning ended up coming. Steve was gonna end up hunting in the morning. We ended up going to his spot, and there was already 3 people there.
Really? I don't think I knew that.
Two. So it's a dirt road. 2 on one side, and that was the side he was hunting, and 1 on the opposite side. So he's like, "Well, dude," he goes, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Bro, let's just go."
Was this the fat chick spot, or was this up on the power line?
This is the mountain. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, what we need to do, and what the plan was, I was going to drop Steve off, and then I was going to go sit there. And if somebody came out of respect and try and be there early before anybody else got there, and just when people show up, like, "Hey, listen, I shot a buck in here last night and going in to track it. Just let you know.
Yeah.
You can go in there, but hey, this is what's about to happen.
I'm coming in at daylight.
Just be known. I don't want to screw up your hunt if I don't have to, and just let you kind of know what's going on. So I sit there, or we pull in, and nobody's there. And I'm like, what? There's nobody here? This is weird. Not what I expected. I expected there to be somebody here, but there really hadn't been anybody there all week.
But it is Saturday.
So we sat there until first light, and then we ended up pushing in. And we got to the scrape where the deer had been. Nothing. 5 yards off, some hair. Then we start to pick up a little bit of blood. I'm like, all right, well, this looks good. Start to go a little bit more blood. Start to hit the drainage ditch, more blood. Got on the other side of the drainage onto the bench. Now I found the arrow and more blood. And now the hill starts to go up. So remind you, I have 2 more benches that I can go up before it becomes private land. It turns private at the top of the hill. So I start to go up, and he had just lost the arrow. He started to go up the first hill. He's pumping out just a little bit. I got some blood at the top of that hill there, and it goes to the next bench. And then there's trails that go left and right. And I'm like, dude, and I can't see him at this point. I haven't seen him. I haven't seen anything, but now I'm losing blood. So I'm like, all right, well, I have maybe 60 to 75 yards, but it's uphill real thick, right? So I'm like, I don't have much room to play with before I'm going to have to try and call the landowner. So I start to work to the south. I grid search there. I come back, go to the north, grid search there, go back up, grid search there. Like, I haven't seen them yet. You know what I'm saying? And then, so I go to the south one more time, and I start to go up. I have one more little tiny hump to go up, and I look up there, and he's right there, laying right there, dead. And I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me. No way. Like, I'm like, dude, if I have to go any further, I'm not going to be able to retrieve my deer if I can't get a hold of these people. Like, this is the way that it goes. Like, it sucks. Like, yeah, you could bust onto the property and hope, but you can't be tracking. It's Saturday morning. What if the landowner's on the property? Everybody hunts.
Could be leased out.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's not worth it.
And he's a registered Republican, so you know he hunts, right? Yeah. So, like, you just know. But thankfully, he made it to just the top of the last little knoll, and he was bedded up there, and he ended up dying overnight. And that was it. And then, so I ended up dragging him back down. Got him back down the bottom, and
took the express route too there.
I did take the express route. So I ended up getting him back down the bottom, down the ditch. We did what we had to do. Gutted him up, got him in the sled, and hauled him on out of there. But it was really nice, dude. It was definitely a sigh of relief. And I knew in my head that, like, there had to have been a breaking point. There had to have been a changing point in the season. Like, it's still early, bro. Like, it's not even November 1st yet. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm like, this is great. So now I've come home with a really nice buck, dude, and I'm super happy. It was an amazing experience, dude. Like, I've never seen him snort wheeze like that, been that type of aggression. You never seen that out of a deer like that. We don't get that here, and I think that a lot of that is just the fact of that there's not that much competition buck to buck.
Right.
And and like guys will talk about how, oh, well, I don't call here because calling doesn't work. Well, calling works. It's just being in the right scenario where there is instilled competition between the deer. Mm-hmm. And those deer are going to act like the deer that, they're going to act like that. I mean, that's just the way it goes. And it's just an amazing time, dude, to be able to go out of state and drive 10 hours and go onto a piece of public land and work with your friends back home or work with your friends that are there and just kind of piece your way through and then be successful. I mean, see deer and be on deer, and it's one of the things is I knew he wasn't a giant, right? I mean, he's not a giant by any means. But an incredible buck, really cool. I've always wanted a tight, tall 8-pointer. Always have. It doesn't get any tighter, man. He's got a 13-inch spread on him. Like, it's so cool. The tips of it are almost touching. It's a cool deer. It's just so badass of a deer. I had sent some pictures over to a good buddy of mine, Keith Chirac from Tattooed in the Wild, and he lives out there. And we hunted together in the past, like I had said, and I had sent him the picture, and he was like, dude, that's an absolute stud. And I'm like, no, it's not a stud, bro. Just stop calling it a stud. I go, you shoot studs. And he goes, no. He goes, public land. He goes, "Do you know how many people try to shoot a buck of that caliber on public land and don't succeed? How many people come from all over to try and shoot a buck on public land and don't make it happen?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't really think of it like that." And he goes, "Yeah, man." He goes, "This is your second time coming out here and you've been successful. It's your third time coming out here. 2 out of 3 times you've been successful. That's a pretty good rate, man."
Yeah.
And it's, the thing is that I didn't need to shoot a giant, dude. I just wanted to shoot a nice deer. And my goal is to shoot a 125 every single time that I go to an out-of-state when a whitetail. And I'm very happy with that. I mean, I really am. I'm not looking for an absolute monster. I'm looking to make memories and have fun and that's learn, dude. It's and that's gonna put you in the playing field to be able to shoot, whatever you want to shoot in the future. When you learn those deer in a different area, now I bring that home. Every time that I go on a hunt like that and I bring it home, it was the same as when I went to Bow and Bridle and hung out with Steve. Too many damn Steves, bro.
I don't know who the hell named that kid Steve.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
I know.
Losers.
Did you guys? I mean, did your parents only have one book of kids' names and the only name in it was Steve?
My mom was gonna name me Steve even if I was a girl.
Oh.
She's gonna name me after Stevie Nicks.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah.
You still named after Stevie Nicks.
Yeah.
You just didn't know it.
Yeah. So didn't matter.
But no, when I went to Bow and Bridle and I was up there during the rut and just learning. That's a high fence operation. I hunted on the free range side also.
You hunted a high fence.
Oh, Jesus.
I want to go.
Yeah, but the thing is, when you hunt in a high fence situation, the amount of stuff that I learned about whitetail by being in a controlled environment was absolutely incredible, bro. It was insane. And that was at that point when I had hunted there, man. I never really had been around big deer, right? At that point, I was not really a big deer hunter at that point, or even just kind of starting to learn. Always wanted to shoot big deer, but never understood big deer, right?
How they worked,
how it works, right?
Yeah.
And you don't, man, and it's not in my DNA. So I literally being there and learning what big bucks do during big buck times, and then I took that home, and I came home. And then I shot my first good buck a couple days after I came home. You know what I'm saying? And then it just kind of trickled out from there. So then Ohio, I learned a ton of things there. And then, then the next hunt, and then the next hunt, and the next hunt, and the next hunt, and the next hunt, and then now up to today. I mean, we learned a ton, me and you, about, terrain features and different ways to hunt in the Midwest that we would have never hunted. We never would have hunted him in the style that we hunted if we didn't learn it by looking at it on the map and actually doing it this time.
Yeah, putting our brains together, what I know, what you know, bouncing ideas off each other, predicting thermals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And knowing what direction of those terrain features that we're looking for, that was a huge thing, I guess, and that. And it was a success, bro. It was an absolute success. I'm so happy. It's so cool, dude. It really honestly is. I wish that we were having a podcast during bear season of success, and then I wish we had one in Sika season, but I'm okay. I'll take one in whitetail season. If I have one wall hanger a year, I'm happy with that, dude. I really am. I mean,
I think the main thing is not being afraid to challenge yourself and getting out of your comfort zone, because I'm not knocking this by any means. There's a ton of guys that do this, but if you just hunt the same farm your entire life, you could, let's say you have a good piece of private. I'm guilty of this too. I've hunted some good private my whole life. You can go sit in the same tree year after year after year after year and shoot a decent buck.
Right.
But what are you going to do if you ever go to travel or hunt a different farm or go on to some even local public? I don't know. You just have this comfort zone in the old faithful tree stand, but being willing to sacrifice some of your season to travel to unknown places, and just learn and understand more, and like I said, eat a little humble pie, get your ass kicked a little bit. You're just growing as a hunter, learning more that you can take with you, and basically being able to get it done anywhere you go.
Yeah. It's fun though. It's it sucks. Like there's definitely points where probably I sometimes I worry if I'm gonna wake up in the morning because I'm completely stroked out. Like I feel I'm stressing myself to the absolute max because you know what I'm saying.
I was a little worried about you.
They're gonna I'm gonna wake up and my buddies are gonna wake up at camp and they're gonna find me dead. I mean,
I wasn't really so worried about a stroke. It was more about just tying your tether into a noose and hanging yourself. But
I think that's part of it, and it makes it so much more fun and so much more rewarding when it kind of comes together.
Well, I remember I kept telling you, just stay patient. Don't sometimes, not you, but there's such anticipation for it to happen, and you want it to happen so bad, and you expect it to happen a certain way, like it's easy. And a lot of times, like if I look back in a lot of my memories of my successful hunts, they don't always happen, or most times they don't happen like you expect them to happen.
No,
they don't happen on the day you expect it to happen.
No.
There's even last year, I had a good season as far as being on deer, but I passed a lot of deer last year, waiting on a decent deer, and I killed my buck on December 4th. That was one of the latest bucks I've ever killed, and I remember I wasn't really frustrated, but I remember just wondering, like, when's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen? And then it happens. You know what I mean? But the main thing is to you're going to get frustrated, you're going to get worn down, you're going to, because it's a grind.
That's part of the game, though.
It's part of the game. The main thing is you got to go. You just got to get in a damn tree as often, every chance you get when you can hunt, get in a tree, play the wind the right way.
If you can.
If you can, be in the best spot that you can possibly put yourself in on that particular day and see what happens. And if it doesn't happen, you just got to keep staying after it, and it's going to happen.
I think the number one thing that I've kind of learned through my mentoring, of being mentored, is determination, dude. And being that guy that spends that extra time in the woods. That's a huge part of it. Like being that guy that goes and spends that extra hour more than everybody else. Everybody else wants to leave at 10. You better be in that tree until noon. You know what I'm saying? Like that extra.
Or even you oversleep. The alarm clock doesn't go off.
Go hunting.
You can still go. Don't use it as an excuse to, oh, shit, I didn't get up. Screw it now. I'll just hunt this evening. No, you can go, especially during November. I mean, it's November now. You can show up at 9 in the morning, get in a tree, and it can still happen at 10.
See, we talk about that. We talked about that not too long ago, and like you were saying, like you need to be there for that morning.
I can't.
You're that morning guy.
I got to be there an hour before the sun comes up.
See, the thing for me is like I think of it like turkey season, dude. Like if I'm too tired. Or I grind out because of, being in the Euro shop or whatever the case may be. And if I just wake up a little bit late, I don't care, bro. I'll go and sit in the tree. I'll plan sometimes to hunt from 9 to 2 just because that's what I'm able to do, and then have the morning off and then have the afternoon off.
I can't do it, dude. I'm a morning killer, man. I mean, I've killed a handful of bucks in the evening. I've killed a lot that –
but how many of them were after 9 a.m.?
Oh, a lot of them. My biggest.
Yeah.
3 or 4 of my biggest were.
And that's what I'm saying. You could have potentially went in there at 8 o'clock.
I would say what does everyone say? 10 to 2.
Mm-hmm.
I would say 9:30 to 1:30 is when I've killed probably my biggest.
There's so many.
But I cannot miss first light. If I'm tired from grinding and I've been hunting hard for 2 weeks straight, I'll take an evening sit off before I'll take a morning sit off.
My uncle killed 13 Pope and young deer between 10 and 2.
Yeah. Oh, you can't argue.
No.
Mid-November? Early to mid-November? Yeah. Before Thanksgiving?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I mean, I don't care. It's just being in the tree. It's time
just go.
in the tree.
Any chance you get. Yeah.
Time in the tree. Even if the wind, I know it's kind of crazy and it, it doesn't make any sense, right? But even if the wind is not 100% perfect, if that's the only stand that you can go and hunt, just go and hunt it. Especially in November.
That's what I was going to say.
The
wind the whole wind thing changes come November because early season, it's all about being downwind, because you're really keen on that food to bed pattern, and you can't get winded because once you get into November,
you don't know where the deer are going to come
bucks
from.
get stupid sometimes. I mean, you can get away with murder on
when
the
you start tinksing them.
Yeah, November 7th. I mean,
Yeah.
even a big buck, you can just get him coming in there looking like he's got EHD or something. You know what I mean?
So a lot of the times, what I do, especially that time of year, is I take literally. They make the Tinks spray cans.
The bombs?
The bombs.
Yeah.
Or the spray, like the aerosol
Yeah.
sprays. And I literally, every 15 minutes, I go.
I've never done that.
And literally downwind, I get so many bucks that come from downwind to
Yeah.
me. Like I'll literally, just as a cover scent, I'm just using it as a cover scent. So if those deer are coming from behind me, I don't use it as an attractant. I use it a lot of the times as a cover.
Yeah.
And like if the wind is coming, one direction, I literally just spray it out in front of me. So if they do get it from in front of me, that's great. But they potentially could come it from the back. And I get it a lot of the times from the back. Coming up.
You get in the back a lot?
Yeah, coming from up, and it's just it's just fun. You know what I'm saying? November is a good time, and it's just a start, man. The thing here is I'm really looking forward to it. I'm home. Things are good. There's a buck in the bag. Now it's just time to have fun. It's time to relax. If I shoot another deer this season, I don't really even honestly care. I really do not care. I'm going to focus on some big deer back home and just have fun. I don't have a lot of working cameras here. I don't really care to have working cameras. I really honestly, and one of the things I want to do here is just go into a spot on some of these terrain features and literally see if the sign's there and hunt the sign, because that's the same shit that I do on the travels. I do that. I don't run cameras. Like I bring cameras. I brought 4 cameras with me. Those cameras one camera got deployed one night and I had a little tiny fork horn on it and that was it. I didn't even care because it wasn't transmitting cell-wise. I was just going to use it as eyes. But and a lot of times that's what I do is I use it as eyes. But the thing is, like here, I'm just going to look for terrain features and hunt like I hunt out there to try and get it done in a speedy time. Like, okay, I found the sign. Now go and hunt that sign and try and kill that deer in 3 days.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And one of my goals this year is I want to hunt every day of November. So tomorrow is November 1st. So I want to hunt tomorrow. I'm going to start tomorrow, and it's either a morning or afternoon sit. At least some type of sit. I can't do all days. I think right as like maybe by the 5th, I'll probably start doing all days for a halfway decent amount. But I'm definitely going to do at least one sit a day every single day of November. That's my goal.
I like it.
And I think that might put a good deer on the wall in Connecticut. We'll see what ends up happening. But Ohio was a success. It was a great trip. There's so many memories made, the camaraderie and hanging out with the boys, and it was just an absolute blast. It was, Darren shot that buck and talking with him throughout that was really cool. And then to shoot this buck and come home and, a 120s buck in another state. I'm happy, dude. It's cool. It's definitely a great time. I'm really looking forward to see what the rest of the season ends up bringing, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't really have much planned. I'm going to end up going back to Maryland, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
It's November, baby. I love November, man.
It is November.
Time to shine.
I know.
Baby.
It is time. It's time to kill, man. There's a lot of big bucks that are cruising that need to be arrowed.
And I think talking to a lot of people, there's not a lot of sign getting laid this year. Talking to Jake Bennett, he thinks that has to do with the moon phase and when it was basically like when the October moon hit.
And there's 5 Saturdays in this month.
Right. So basically, I agree with what he's saying, but I didn't understand why. But he's saying that in his opinion, everything's 10 to 14 days behind this year. So it's almost like I'm not going to say there's not a pre-rut, but there's no like, we're going to like skip that heavy sign laying phase there, like that second half of the 3rd week of October and that last week of October. And I'm thinking, well, here locally anyways, like it's going to be pretty warm. Tuesday the 1st, Wednesday the 2nd, and then we're getting a cold front Thursday, and I think it's just going to pop wide open, and it's just going to be absolutely fire by this weekend of the 5th.
No, I think it really honestly is.
And I cannot wait.
Yeah, well, you're on rutcation at that point, right?
Yeah, I got to work. I'm taking tomorrow off. I'm not going to go into details, but I got some plans for tomorrow morning. We'll kind of leave that as a cliffhanger, but hopefully going to try to do something epic tomorrow.
And then hopefully have a podcast about it.
Yeah, and then so that's Tuesday, and then I got to work Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then I'm off for pretty much the rest of November. So
sweet.
But I got one more question for you, Trev.
Yeah.
We ask everybody that comes on the podcast. What drives you outdoors?
You're such a fucking asshole. You really are.
Trev, what drives you outdoors?
Oh, man. Honestly, after a trip like this, man, it puts a lot into what I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. It puts a lot into perspective on how it actually is and how hard that these things are. And I think that a lot of us take it for granted. And what drives me outdoors is just being with the good people that you're with and working with your friends back home and kind of taking everybody into it and making that huge camaraderie of deer camp, because that's what this is all about. It's not about shooting big bucks, and it's not about, being 100% successful, but it's about working together as a team and building, a big team that can get it done, dude. It's not about one person. If one person draws blood, that's success for the whole entire team. And that's what kind of keeps me going is working together with other friends and having that group of 10%ers that stick together and really get after it and work together. It really keeps me going, man. And being in a group of just great people, bro. It really honestly does. That's honestly what keeps me driving going.
I love it.
Does that even make sense?
Not really, but I mean,
you're
in the hot seat tonight, so you just...
Yeah, that's ridiculous. I understand what everybody feels like now after they do that.
Good.
Because it's a tough one.
Well, I just want to say congratulations on your buck in Ohio, and good luck the rest of the season. And everybody at home, good luck to you too. And just keep grinding and stay after it. And we will share those hunts with us on the Outdoor Drive podcast page. And with that being said, thanks for taking the ride right here on the Outdoor Drive.